Hi, I'm Adriana, the head of product for Asheville Dispensary.
Hey, I'm Nikki, the head of Plant Bar. Talk
All
about
right.
coffee and cannabis.
Yeah,
I really love the synergy of coffee and cannabis. I feel like they can complement each other super well. Just like how in cannabis, as you mentioned, there are a variety of terpenes, essential oils that really contribute to the effect. It's the same thing in coffee. So coffee also has terpenes and essential oils with different flavor notes that can feel really medicinal in the body and stimulating while also relaxing. And so I find with cannabis, it's the same thing. I often feel both stimulated and relaxed. And I feel like they can really balance each other out. And, it really depends on the body as to what combination of coffee and cannabis one might do well with. So for me, if I'm drinking coffee, which can sometimes be quite stimulating and uplifting, I'll smoke something like a indica hybrid or an indica strain, because those strains are going to be more likely to have some amount of CBD and CBG, which can really help bring us back into the body. And so sativa strains tend to be lower in CBD or CBG if they have any at all.
Right.
And so for some people, including myself, smoking a sativa and drinking a cup of coffee might be a little too much. It might not be as balancing. So I really like something like an indica hybrid where I'm not super sedated, but I'm more relaxed and I come into my body more, and then I can really enjoy those uplifting effects of the coffee.
Yeah, absolutely. Definitely having a little bit more CBD present in that cannabis strain can definitely kind of help level you out and have potential anti-anxiety properties as well. So they can complement each other very well. I definitely agree. One question that I have for you that you might know is, obviously cannabis, works with the endocannabinoid system to help our bodies reach homeostasis and find that balance. Do you find that coffee would offset that at all or complement it more?
Yeah, my perspective is that quality coffee can complement it. We have very little, if any, research on coffee and the endocannabinoid system. However, what we know is that coffee is high in terpene, those essential oils that we talked about, that are definitely acting on the endocannabinoid system, even if it's indirectly. And coffee is also really high in antioxidants. And so antioxidants are naturally going to contribute to the balance of our bodily systems, including the endocannabinoid system. One of the reasons that we love cannabis so much for its medicinal properties is because of its antioxidant properties.
Absolutely.
So it's a very, very strong antioxidant. And so it's going to support the reduction of inflammation in the body, the reduction of pain, and therefore more balance and better feelings.
I personally have also found that when I mix THC with caffeine right before a workout or right before I take my dog on a walk, it really gives me this super amazing energy boost that honestly I haven't been able to find, anywhere else than coffee and cannabis really are working together to give me that push that I need throughout the day. Like, seriously.
Yeah, it can be really incredible to combine those two for so many people, and for people that are more sensitive to THC and maybe are sensitive to coffee as well. Minor cannabinoids like CBD and CBG can be extremely helpful for regulating the nervous system and the potential overwhelm from coffee or cannabis or THC.
Absolutely.
So I really love to combine a combo of CBD and CBG in the morning with my coffee. And then sometimes we'll add in some adaptogenic mushrooms as well to really help balance that energy. And, the beauty of adding something like that nano shot into the coffee is they're able to immediately synergize. You're drinking them together in tandem. And because it's nano emulsified, you're actually going to absorb that CBD, CBG, or THC more effectively, and actually are more likely to get that balancing effect of the coffee and the cannabis. It feels really special to have these two companies sharing space because, this building really functions as a community education center around plants that most of us work with on a regular basis or even daily basis, but don't always know a lot about and don't have the opportunity to consume together. So to have a full cannabis dispensary that really focuses on organic quality products in relationship with Plant Bar, which focuses on relationship to coffee and tea and other herbs, is really amazing because cannabis is so synergistic with essentially all plants.
Absolutely. Yeah, and I have definitely found that plants work best when they work together, right? So I totally agree about the synergy. And I've just learned so much, whether it be how mushrooms interact with plant or the cannabis plant or coffee or, all the different kinds of adaptogens that work so well with the cannabis industry and the cannabis plant. That's been really cool, especially our seltzers. That was a collaborative project between the Plant Bar and the dispensary, having those adaptogens in there that work really well with THC and other cannabinoids. So we can really accomplish a lot when we work together. It's awesome.
Absolutely. Yeah. Adaptogens have become really popular in the health and wellness industry, and they've obviously started to move into the cannabis industry, which makes sense because cannabis is one of the strongest adaptogens that we have access to. And so an adaptogen is a plant that's going to regulate your internal stress response and actually read what's going on in your body and respond to what your body needs. And so combining a really strong adaptogen like cannabis with other adaptogens can contribute to really good feelings.
Absolutely.
And a lot of balance and homeostasis in the body. We're thinking about adding to a future menu is potentially an uplift seltzer with a shot of espresso as a CBD, CBG espresso tonic.
I think that sounds great, especially because the mango, is going to provide a little bit of that citrus flavor to it, as well as, having the acidity of the coffee in there. I think those will balance each other out really well, and the fizziness.
Espresso tonics have become really popular in the coffee industry. It's often like a specialty offering on a lot of these specialty shops' menus.
Awesome.
But I don't know if I've seen one with CBD and CBG. And we were talking about the balancing effects of cannabis and coffee together. And, this seltzer is mango forward. We know that mango has myrcene terpenes, which help bring us into the body and calm the body and the nervous system down. So the combination of that with coffee can also be potentially extra balancing. A lot of people actually drink a ton of coffee throughout the day and aren't overstimulated by coffee, but consuming minor cannabinoids can potentially help with that homeostasis of the body, where they actually feel more satiated by a single cup of coffee. Because one of the reasons they may be drinking more coffee is because their body is actually out of balance. And so they're reaching for the thing that they think will help balance them, or that feels mentally good to them. But if they consume a little bit of cannabinoids with that coffee, they're actually going to feel more balance in their body, and as a result feel more vibrant and well and
motivated,
not need 4 or 5 or 6 cups of coffee.
A lot about possibly using cannabis and coffee during the day or to start your day, maybe for that midday pickup. But I have noticed that the half-life of caffeine and coffee can still keep me going throughout the night. And I find that it's very hard to sleep, especially if I've had coffee past, noon even, right?
Yeah.
That half-life of the caffeine and the coffee is still going in my body, and it's really hard for me to relax and unwind. So I have found that different types of edibles or a nice indica dominant cannabis strain can really help chill me out at the end of the night and help me relax, especially some products that we have that have CBN that, can slow the heart rate down and keep me from having that anxiety, tossing and turning right before bed. So that's just another way that, cannabis can help with, the kind of caffeine jitters towards the end of the night, or even if you're not too, jittered, even if you're just having trouble sleeping, it can really help.
Yeah, that's a great point. Cannabis can be super complementary in helping bring the body back down after we've potentially had a lot of caffeine or even just a little bit of caffeine. And, we're feeling really stimulated by it. Again, every body is so different and what we need is so different. And there's so many ways that both caffeinated plants and cannabis can help us. Yeah, that's a great point. Cannabis can be super complementary in helping bring the body back down after we've potentially had a lot of caffeine or even just a little bit of caffeine. And, we're feeling really stimulated by it. Again, every body is so different and what we need is so different. And there's so many ways that both caffeinated plants and cannabis can help us.
The value of having really educated bud tenders and baristas is helping guide each customer through their experience and their journey of learning that perfect fit with cannabis and coffee. Because again, we've talked a lot about terpenes because a lot of it does come down to the terpenes. On the cannabis side, it's the terpenes that really give the cannabis plant its effects of whether it is more energizing and uplifting or sedating and relaxing, creative, all those qualities that a customer might be looking for. Having an educated bud tender to help guide them through that experience, what worked for them, what did not, can really help them find the best fit. And that's what we're really here. That's what we're really about here at Asheville Dispensary, is helping people feel better now. And a lot of people want to know that information to help them get there.
Absolutely. It's really, really important to have educated baristas and bud tenders that are really open to learning a little bit about you and helping find something that works for your body. So at Plant Bar, when people come up and ask us for a recommendation, we don't list off our favorite item or the most expensive item on the menu. We ask, well, how are you feeling right now? And how do you want to feel after you have a beverage with us?
Yes.
We want to tailor our approach for each customer, each guest that we have, to what it is that their body is needing in this moment. And that might shift from hour to hour, from day to day. One day can be completely different than another. But this is why we carry so many different offerings here, is to make it approachable for everyone.
So really interacting with the customer and taking in what they have to say and using that to make an educated suggestion is essential to what we do here.
Yeah, so, here I'm really focused on direct relationships with the people growing the plants that we serve at the bar. So the main coffee that we serve here is from a small farm in Costa Rica that I had the privilege to meet and build a relationship with last year. And I actually got to visit their farm and see how they were growing their plants and see the sheep grazing the land that they have around in place of herbicides and pesticides. These sheep eat all of the weeds. And I got to meet the farmers and have a cup of the coffee that they grew with them and experience it in a very different way. And all of the other coffee that we source comes from people that I really trust. And if I don't have a direct relationship with the farmer, my friend who owns that company has a direct relationship with the farmer and can verify that people are being treated well on these farms, that organic practices are being used or natural practices. That relationship with these plants is really, really important. I think in both the coffee and cannabis industry, we're often very disconnected from the plants themselves and where they come from. And so being able to talk about where they come from and who grew these plants and brought them here to us is really important.